Today on Let's Talk Apple Tech, I'm going to show you how to change your Apple ID password and phone number without access to a trusted Apple device. An Apple trusted device is any device that is signed into your Apple ID. A trusted phone number is the phone number Apple uses to send you a code so that you can authenticate who you are. There are several Apple ID types, which I will cover in another video, but the most widely used Apple ID as of late is the highest security level an Apple ID can have, which is called two-factor authentication. This is because certain features in the latest versions of iOS and macOS require this extra level of security, which is designed to protect your information. Also different than two-step verification, which is the security version used before two-factor authentication was released. Now, two-factor authentication is available in most regions, and it's actually rare that two-factor is not available, but there are some regions that still don't have access to it. Two-factor authentication security level requires that the Apple ID user sign in or authenticate using two factors. The first factor is your alphanumeric password that you create when the account was set up or that you change along the way. The second factor requires the Apple ID user to confirm a one-time verification code that is sent to their Apple devices if the Apple ID user is an Apple device owner. Now, if the Apple ID user is not an Apple device owner or has lost access to one of their Apple devices, Apple will allow the option to have the one-time verification code sent via SMS text or a phone call to a trusted number on file. So just a quick tip, always have more than one number on file, even if it's a trusted friend or family member. The default method for all device owners, though, signed into an Apple ID is always going to be to have the code sent to the device. So if you run into a situation where you need access to your account and you know your Apple ID password, but you do not have access to your Apple trusted device, check out my video where I explain how to achieve this, called How to Avoid an Apple ID Sign-In Loop Nightmare, No Device Access. Now, in this scenario I'm teaching about today, the Apple ID owner does not have access to the trusted phone number and they do not remember their Apple ID password. We start off our journey at Apple's account recovery site called iforgot.apple.com. Without access to an Apple trusted device, the account recovery self-service site iforgot.apple.com is the only way one can change their password or their dedicated trusted phone number on file. No one at Apple can bypass the need to take this path, nor take this path for you. The Apple ID password reset system is completely 1000% automated. So once you arrive at iforgot.apple.com, you'll see the field asking you to enter your Apple ID. Now, your Apple ID is usually an email address. However, in some regions, it can also be a phone number. Most may even assume that the Apple ID would be an at iCloud.com email address, but the Apple ID could just as often be a third-party account email address. So, in another video, I will show you how to locate this information. So definitely like and subscribe and turn on notifications so you can get updates on new topics as the channel progresses. Once you've entered the affected Apple ID, the next screen is asking you to confirm the phone number. I know this can seem confusing because the screen here is not clear on the path it's about to take you on. So one may think, well, I don't have access to the phone number. Like, how am I even going to confirm the verification code? Why even bother? But you don't need access to the phone number on file. But it is absolutely a requirement that you know the phone number on file and be able to confirm it. Now, if your situation is that you do not know the phone number on file, as it turns out, the password and or the phone number cannot be changed. No one at Apple is able to bypass this type of issue. This is something Apple will not budge on. So if you do not have this number, ask a family member, ask friends to check their contacts. One may have to get very creative to locate the number, but for sure, it must be known. I know this is a really tough situation to be in, and it's definitely not ideal. So, if this happens to be your situation moving forward with the next Apple ID creation, be sure to always keep your contact information up to date. Avoid using biometrics even if you have to, like Face ID, Touch ID, so that you are forced to remember your password. Always have more than one trusted number on file. And lastly, be sure to set up Apple's newest feature known as the Account Recovery Contact, which I will cover in another video. But in this scenario, we know our Apple ID trusted number. We, however, don't have access, so go ahead and enter the trusted number to confirm that it is known. On the next screen, the system is wanting you to confirm a one-time use verification code, which by default is going to one of your Apple devices if the system is detecting one. Now, if the system is not able to detect a trusted device, the verification code will go to your trusted phone number. But in this scenario, we do not have access to either. So we will be choosing this tiny blue link here that says, don't use this number anymore. Now, the next screen we see here might seem intimidating, perhaps prompting one to maybe like panic and seek a faster route by reaching out directly to Apple in hopes that someone at Apple can speed the process up. But no one at Apple is able to bypass this wait time, and this is something Apple cannot and will not budge on. So, choosing continue anyway truly is the only option. So, go ahead and click continue anyway here. On this next screen, the system is requesting us to confirm a one-time use verification code to one of the email addresses on file. If your scenario is that you no longer have access to this email address and also do not have access to your trusted phone number and password, as it turns out, this Apple ID cannot be recovered and the password and the phone number cannot be reset, as we can see here when we try. I know not being able to recover the Apple ID is a very, very tough situation to be in, but for security reasons, Apple is not going to budge on this. So, reaching out directly to Apple to have someone bypass the fully automated system, I assure you, will only cause you more frustrations because it's not going to be an option. So, definitely do everything in your abilities to try to recover your access to the email address on file here. And moving forward, always update your contact information when creating your next Apple ID. In this scenario, we do have access to the email address on file though, and once you have entered the verification code on this next screen, we are nearing the finish line. The system is asking us for the new phone number where we can be contacted. Now, you will need to be able to confirm a code that Apple is going to send to the new number right then, so definitely have access to the number when you are doing this, okay? Now, on this next screen, you'll see the alert that in 24 hours we will be contacted by Apple. This process seems to be complete right here, but there's actually more we can attempt to do here. So if you click the blue iforgot.apple.com link again here, this tiny blue link right here, and proceed to enter the affected Apple ID again and further confirm the trusted number on file again, what you will notice is a new option that has prompted. It's the verify now option. Now, for our scenario, it is very unlikely that this path will actually end up being successful because what it's going to ask for next is for you to confirm the phone number on file, which we don't have access to, and you don't know the password. So, and in this case, there's no credit card number on file. But if you happen to have a credit card number on file, checking this path is worth it because if you have one on file, there is an opportunity to speed this process along the way. So, if for whatever reason, though, while you're trying to confirm the credit card number on file, you keep getting a notice that's saying like, oh, you're entering the wrong number on the back of the card, or something's just not working for you and it ends up looping, but you know that credit card number is correct on file, definitely reach out to your bank and see what options they have on their end to allow that authorization to go through, because what Apple is doing is they're actually pinging the credit card trying to authorize it. So if the bank is not liking the form of ping that Apple is sending out to it, it may block it. So what I've done is reached out to the bank before and they've been able to go in and allow the ping to go through. So definitely worth a shot. But since there's no credit card on file in our scenario and we don't have the other information that the system has already requested, the verify now option is just not a viable path for us in this scenario. On this last screen, we've finally reached our endpoint and we're being prompted that we will receive an update soon. In the 24 hours, we will get an email letting us know the dedicated turnaround time. Now, the Apple ID automated self-service recovery system does not have a specified turnaround time that could be applied for all Apple IDs. So, like, each Apple ID has its own algorithm for what the wait time will end up being. So from this point, the only thing left to do is to just wait the dedicated amount of time the system has determined must expire before the Apple ID password and phone number can be changed. Now, this wait time is not an option. and it cannot be bypassed by anyone at Apple. So, definitely from here, consider using the tips I mentioned in the video to ensure you never have to go through this type of scenario again. This is a new channel created to help Apple ID and Apple device users navigate Apple apps, services, Mac OS, iOS. So definitely like and subscribe and let us know in the comments below if this video was helpful for you or even if it wasn't helpful. Also, feel free to leave us your specific questions, content requests, or recommendations in the comments below as well.